Tonight, we're learning more about a man officials say drowned after going for a swim in Lake Murray today. The latest details in the investigation. Plus, North Carolina firefighters continue to monitor a warehouse destroyed in a massive fire Friday night. How witnesses describe the devastating blaze. And we're enjoying a brief pause from the simmering summer heat here in the Midlands. How hot will things get Sunday? The answer ahead on WIS News at 11.
Live, local, now. This is WIS News 10.
Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Emily Scarlett. A calm but warm night here in the capital city as we take a live look over downtown Columbia. It's a brief break from the stifling heat we felt across the Midlands today. It felt well over 100 degrees throughout much of the state, and we're expecting more hot temperatures tomorrow. Meteorologist Vaughn Gaskin is in the First Alert Weather Center, keeping an eye on our hot forecast. Vaughn, when can we expect a break in the heat?
Well, you can expect somewhat of a break coming in later this week. Certainly not those upper 90s that we've had to deal with. And I think anything is better than nothing, right?
Just a little bit of break.
Just a little bit. So as we look at the numbers out there for tomorrow morning, I actually want to show you that we do have a heat advisory that will be in effect for our friends over to the west. Now that's going to be a heat advisory for counties over near Georgetown, Florence, over near Darlington County. So all the counties, let's say in the PD and in the Grand Strand, they will have to deal with a heat advisory, and that is because they're expecting some hot numbers. They do expect their heat indices to go above 110 degrees, and because of that, they have put in place that heat advisory. Remember, we had one in place for us this morning, but we do not have one for tomorrow. At least for right now, they haven't told us that we have one. Certainly not an excessive heat warning just yet either. That's of course a bit higher when temperatures go over 115 for the real field temperature. Feels like 92 outside in Columbia and in Lexington right now. The bigger picture shows not a whole lot going on, and things for tomorrow should be okay. After starting out at 77, we'll end up at 99 for your Sunday, and then into your Monday starting out at 75 and wrapping up at 97. Still feeling hotter when you factor in the humidity. We'll talk a bit more coming up.
Thanks, Vaughn. With high heat in the forecast, officials in the Midlands are stressing safety precautions you should take to beat the heat. Thankfully, the Columbia Fire Department says they did not experience any heat-related emergencies today. Officials say some easy ways to protect yourself in the heat: drink plenty of water, apply sunscreen regularly, and dress in lightweight and light color clothing. Also, if you stop sweating, that's a sign you're too dehydrated. New details tonight. Lexington County deputies say a man in his 70s drowned in Lake Murray this afternoon. Authorities say they were called to Palm Point Drive in Lexington County around 2 this afternoon to a call of a drowning. Witnesses report that he went for a swim and never resurfaced. Multiple agencies were able to make a successful recovery hours later. It's believed that the drowning was an accident.
It's very important to always keep safety in mind. And again, we don't know what happened in this one. Our work will continue on this incident. We'll continue to look into it. But again, all of the signs and all of the information that we've been able to gather up to this point are that this was just something very tragic and very unfortunate, an accident, truly.
The coroner is performing an autopsy. Authorities say they are still investigating. It was an almost tragic situation in Columbia earlier today. Crews were called to perform a water rescue at the Congaree River this morning, but Columbia Fire says they successfully rescued one person from the water stranded near the Gervais Street Bridge around 10:30 this morning. They say EMS treated the person for injuries. Officials are stressing safety when swimming this summer. A scam alert to warn you about tonight. Orangeburg County Police say a person is targeting seniors with threats that a warrant has been issued for their arrest. The scammer states a $500 payment will negate that warrant. Deputies are reminding you that no charge can be dropped by a single payment, no matter how much money. They say the caller goes by the name Davy Williams. If you receive a call from this person, you're asked to call Crime Stoppers. Developing stories tonight. Columbia police are looking for 2 people in connection to an armed robbery at a Five Points bank this afternoon. CPD released these surveillance pictures of the suspects. Police say the armed robbery happened around 11 this morning at the TD Bank on the 1900 block of Blossom Street. Police also released this picture of the car they say the 2 men drove away in. If you have any information, you're asked to call Crime Stoppers. That's 1-888-CRIME-SC. We're working to learn more about a shooting in Richland County that police say injured a teenager. Richland County deputies say a 15-year-old was shot this afternoon on Stafford Street. No word yet on the condition tonight. Details are limited right now, but we will continue to update you as we learn more on that story. 2 people were injured after a 3-car collision this morning on Interstate 26. Highway Patrol says a Ford Explorer sideswiped another car while changing lanes, hit another car, and then flipped over. The driver and passenger of the Explorer were taken to the hospital, but are expected to be okay. Officials say the eastbound lanes were blocked for about 30 minutes after this. North Carolina firefighters continue to monitor a smoldering warehouse that went up in a massive blaze Friday night. Crews are waiting until it's safe enough to go inside of the Shuford Mills warehouse to determine how this fire started. Raycom's Christy O'Connor has the story.
Much like the smoke still wafting into the air, the Shuford Mills warehouse fire is still the talk of the town.
It's unreal. You can see the blaze, from where we live all the way across the river. You can just see it. It's massive.
The smoke was going straight up really, really high, but you could see debris in the smoke almost like a storm.
At the heart of Granite Falls, the warehouse has been a part of the community for well over 100 years.
The magnitude of the fire and the intensity of the fire was something that I've never seen in my lifetime, and last night was as traumatic as I ever want to see, for sure.
Patrick Britton owns Infidel Cycles, a business in one of the 6 buildings that makes up the 19-acre property.
Started pulling bikes out of the shop to get them away from the fire.
With his livelihood on the line,
I was definitely thinking the worst last night.
all he could do was hope it would be all right.
And it was probably 5 minutes. It went from one end of the building to the other.
His building and 4 others were salvaged, but the same couldn't be said for the one, which housed 3 apartments, 5 businesses, and 250 storage units. While that building was a complete loss, there's at least one part rising from the ashes.
I think it brings out the caliber of people that live in this area.
Granite Falls is a quaint little town, and we pull together.
Christy O'Connor reporting tonight. It's still not safe for firefighters to go inside. Crews expect the warehouse to smolder for several days before they can go in and begin their investigation. Country singer Scotty McCreery has been cited after authorities say he brought a loaded handgun to a North Carolina airport. Authorities say they found a loaded 9mm handgun in McCreery's backpack at a security checkpoint last week. McCreery told authorities he had been at a firing range and forgot to take the gun out. He was cited for misdemeanor concealed weapons permit violation and released. The Coast Guard is searching for a man who went missing on the North Carolina Outer Banks this afternoon. Officials say a 45-year-old man went missing while tubing behind a pontoon boat around 1 in the Currituck Sound. They say the man did not have on a life jacket. Authorities have sent boats and a helicopter to search. 4 people had to be rescued after their boat overturned near Ocean Isle Beach today. The Coast Guard says 2 adults and 2 girls ended up in the water after their 24-foot boat overturned. The 4 people were picked up by the Coast Guard and taken back to the beach to be checked out. Officials say all 4 are expected to be okay. Coming up, a former Gamecock football star was back in the Midlands today, getting kids excited about football and schoolwork. A look back at Alshon Jeffery's youth football camp. And there was plenty of heat for the kids at camp today. Will the heat be as bad for us tomorrow? A look at our first alert forecast coming up.
Into Tuesday and Wednesday on into Thursday, we'll see those low 90s coming back into play, which should certainly feel a lot better than 99.
Yep, another hot one tomorrow. Thanks, Vaughn. Well, dozens of kids braved the heat today to learn from one of the greatest receivers in Gamecock football history. Alshon Jeffery was in Calhoun County today, hosting his first annual free youth football camp and back to school community fun day. The camp was free for kids ages 6 to 14 and included a back to school bash with the Calhoun County School District. Jeffrey says preparing for school is just as important as preparing for football.
Like same amount of energy we put into the sports, you got to put the same amount of energy, even more, into the classroom. So it goes hand in hand.
Jeffrey played at Calhoun County High School before coming to USC. He signed a 1-year deal with the Philadelphia Eagles earlier this year. A longtime senator and former presidential candidate soaks in the sun with family just days after surgery to remove a brain tumor. How Senator John McCain maximized family time on this Saturday. A number of early morning tweets from President Donald Trump show his growing frustration with the multiple investigations into Russian meddling in the 2016 election. In them, Trump asserted a president's power to pardon whoever he chooses, including himself. Sarah Dalloff reports.
Amid sirens and bells, President Donald Trump helped commission the USS Gerald R. Ford.
Good luck and Godspeed. Thank you to the Ford family, and thank you to every sailor in the greatest Navy on earth.
Hours before the patriotic ceremony, the president fired off a series of angry tweets, including one asserting his complete power to pardon. The Washington Post reported earlier this week Trump has been inquiring about his ability to pardon aides, family members, even himself in connection with the Russia investigation.
I'm not aware of any president giving a pardon in an effort to stave off an investigation. That is, I believe, unprecedented.
And more potential Russia complications for the president as congressional leaders reached an agreement on sanctions against the country for election meddling and military aggression towards its neighbors. A section of the bill calls for a congressional review if the president was to ease or end sanctions. But a veto from the Oval Office would likely spark an outcry from lawmakers on both sides of the aisle. Sarah Dalloff, NBC News, Washington.
Arizona Senator John McCain is maximizing family time after being diagnosed with brain cancer earlier this week. Meghan McCain posted this photo to her Twitter account on Saturday. It shows the backs of two people sitting on a bench overlooking the countryside in the senator's home state of Arizona. The tweet included the caption, "Amazing hike with Dad this morning. Thank you all for your best wishes." The 80-year-old Republican senator was found to have an aggressive form of brain cancer after he underwent surgery last week for a blood clot above his left eye. Ahead on the news at 11, a Florida community is horrified after video captures teenagers mocking a man drowning in a pond. Why loved ones want the teens to face charges after seeing this disturbing video. Caught on camera, police in Florida are looking for ways to charge 5 teens who laughed and shot video of a man drowning. The Cocoa chief of police wants the teens charged with not reporting a death to the medical examiner. Nick Valencia has the story, but we warn you the video is graphic.
Get out the water, you gonna die. A blatant disregard for human life.
We not finna help your You
finna
swim my
in. A group of Florida teens taunt a drowning man while filming his final moments from afar.
Ain't nobody finna help you, you dumb shouldn't have got in there.
In the 2-minute-long video clip, the 5 teen boys between the ages of 14 and 16 can be heard laughing as the man struggles to stay afloat in a pond in Cocoa, Florida. Rather than call for help, the teens recorded the incident on cell phone, chuckling while they watched the man die. They say this when the man goes underwater and doesn't resurface.
He just died. Bro, what, bro?
The state of Florida currently does not have a law where a citizen is obligated to render aid for anyone in distress or call for help. Both Cocoa Police and the state attorney's office say they are frustrated that no one can be held accountable in this incident. We are deeply saddened and shocked at both the manner in which Mr. Dunn lost his life and the actions of the witnesses to this tragedy. We can find no moral justification for either the behavior of the persons heard on the recording or the deliberate decision not to render aid to Mr. Dunn. Police say the victim, 31-year-old Jamel Dunn, got into an argument with his mom and possibly his fiancée the afternoon of July 9th. 10 minutes after the fight was over, police say Dunn scaled a fence surrounding a pond near his family's home and walked into the water. His family reported him missing 3 days later. The teen stayed quiet about what they saw, so police didn't know where to look. Dunn's body wasn't discovered until 5 days after his death.
I feel like something should be done to them.
The victim's sister posted the video of the drowning on Facebook. In a Facebook Live post, she questioned the teen's humanity.
They could sit there and watch somebody die in front of their eyes. Well, imagine what they're going to do when they get older. You know, you're going to be out here in these streets. Imagine how they're going to be when they get older. Where's the morals?
After the teens recorded the video, police say they waited a few days to post it online. Unfortunately, police say their job is to enforce the law, and since no law was broken in this case, nothing can be done. Some breaking news just into our newsroom tonight. Officials have identified an elderly man who drowned in Lake Murray this afternoon. Officials say 76-year-old Ramon Prestino drowned after going for a swim and never resurfacing. An autopsy has been scheduled for tomorrow. 3 people are dead after a crash involving a bus and a minivan in Indiana today. Police say a Miller transport bus rear-ended a minivan in Bloomington, causing a chain reaction crash. The minivan stopped for construction traffic, but the bus was unable to come to a stop. A man and 2 women inside the minivan died at the scene. Medics transported a child from that minivan to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. A man in Iowa is in trouble after he left his dog inside of a car in hot temperatures. Officials say they were called to a Walmart in Des Moines after a customer saw the pooch in distress. The animal was left inside of the vehicle for more than 30 minutes without water or cool air in 84-degree weather. Once she was okay, she was returned to her owner, who says he regrets leaving the pooch in the car. The owner was cited for alleged animal neglect. And we'll be right back with the final check of your weather. In tonight's Consumer Alert, a Texas company is recalling coffee after a Viagra-like substance was found inside the product. The recall involves new Kopi Jantan traditional natural herbs coffee. An analysis confirmed the presence of the active ingredient of Viagra, which is an FDA-approved prescription drug for erectile dysfunction. The ingredient may interact with nitrates found in some prescription drugs, often taken by men, and may lower blood pressure to dangerous levels. The product was also found to contain undeclared milk. So some interesting issues going on there. We'll have to find some coffee without Viagra and make it an iced coffee, Vaughn, because that heat isn't going anywhere.
Nowhere. It's going to be with us for a bit longer, up to 99 tomorrow for the daytime high. So we'll continue to see those warm numbers. They do try to come down just a bit by Monday at 97 and then 95 for you on Tuesday. We see those lower 90s coming into play for your Wednesday and Thursday. And I'm sure by that point, we'll be looking forward to them.
Oh, yes. Have a great night.